You should know that by being a racing driver, you are under risks all the time. By being a racing driver means you are racing with other people. And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver. Because we are competing to win. And the main motivation to all of us is to compete for a victory.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all the virtual grandstand members of the Pro Am division of tonight's race here at RACEFACE.PRO, welcome in for round 5 of the RACEFACE.PRO Red Star GT3 Championship Season 19. We're on round 5 here at the Hungaroring, and it is shaped up so nicely from what we've seen from last night. And boy oh boy, we are going to be looking for an absolutely amazing race for tonight. We've already got a fantastic grid lined up. Some drivers are already clocking in some good amounts of lap times. We've led about 5 minutes of the qualifying session run just to not, you know, the first couple of minutes of qualifying tend to be a little bit boring as those drivers are getting their tires nice and heated up, getting ready for the qualifying session and getting ready to nail it and potentially try and win that nice track experience provided by Red Star Raceway at the end of this championship. Like we mentioned, we're in round 5 here. At the Season 19 of RACEFACE.PRO GT3 Championship. We've only got 3 rounds left after this, but so far, shaping up very nicely. Henry Platt, someone who we saw pushing very hard last week and actually playing a very tight strategy, is the likes of Henry Platt over here. Last week, we saw him at Paul Ricard playing a very late pit strategy compared to some of his peers, currently sitting in first place with the 145.5. John Ray Buerta, sorry, apologies for that, in the Team Karugma Racing Porsche 992, now just 200ths of a second behind him, in second place with the 145.6, so amazing stuff from him. Vessel Voda, someone who we saw have an absolutely little bit of a demotivating race last week that we saw him unfortunately receiving a drive-through and multiple other penalties and, you know, a couple of things that just demotivated him in all, led to him having a very bad finish, but he managed to qualify second. Oh, and as we witness him lose the rear of that Mercedes a bit off track, unfortunately, putting as much pressure as he can on that car and trying to get it up into those positions. Harry Duplessis, someone else we've seen now a part of the Kramadulas racing team, unfortunately not getting his livery ready for tonight. That's not his fault. That is unfortunately my fault. Not getting those awesome sim racing liveries synced. We were doing some background media things before this, and that was unfortunately not on my list of check marks. That'll be again double checked for next week to ensure that all drivers have got all their beautiful liveries out on track. But Harry Duplessis, definitely a competitor to watch. We've seen him with some absolutely amazing gameplay and racing so far. He's had an immense season here at RaceFace, and his past races have been extremely consistent, so we're hoping to see him pull through. Let's have a bit of a flashback to our VIP virtual grandstand provided by PokerBet and Red Star Raceway. We've got iRacing Southern Africa saying good evening all. Hope everyone is good. I hope everyone's good as well. I hope all the members of the virtual grandstand are warmed up and excited for this race. We know Hungaroring is a very, very complicated circuit with very few overtaking spots. So these drivers are going to have to play their cards very well. Samare Bukes, obviously a family member of the likes of Jared Bukes, also someone who we were just talking about, currently sitting pole in the Sim Alpha SRS car, which is absolutely incredible livery from him as well, saying conditions look so much better than last night, but will it last? We have absolutely no idea. Remember, we're currently in qualifying. The race can shape up to be a little bit different. We saw last night in the sprint series, we had a very clean qualifying, you know. Weather was great, clean blue skies, but as soon as we headed onto the main grid for the feature race, we saw some of those angry cumulonimbus clouds up in the sky, ready to throw down on our drivers for some action-packed events here at Hungaroring. So keep an eye out for that weather radar. Currently, the track is at a whopping 41 degrees here at the qualifying session at Hungaroring. That is a crazy high temperature, probably one of the highest temperatures we have seen so far on the GT3 calendar here at RACEFACE. So absolutely incredible stuff. That means these tires are going to be burning very fast for some of these drivers, but that is going to really have to show the skill that some of these drivers are going to have to pull through. They're going to have to show their maximum potential of what they can do to try and win and keep that car under control. Last night we saw so many tail whips happening due to the rain. We might be seeing it due to the heat this time. So definitely something to look for. And yeah, so Mario Buke saying send it number 3, G Buke. So definitely Jared Buke's #1 supporter in the virtual grandstand. And so Mario Buke's definitely been someone to have a look out for in the virtual grandstand. I think we can definitely give her the Pro-Am crown for the virtual grandstand for the Pro-Am division. She has been someone who has been here for all of the Pro-Am streams, and she has done phenomenally well to support the drivers that she has selected and the drivers who are part of her family circle. And she has always been here. She's always been here to support RACEFACE and the amazing entertainment action that these guys will be providing us. Let's have a look at how our grid is shaping up. Jared Bukes, as we were talking about him in the Sim Alpha SRS car, currently sitting in first. Richard van Heerde in the green Hulk Racing RVH Racing Ferrari 293, also sitting up in second. So a top, actually a front row lockout for the Ferraris. Ian Upton in Project Vapor, now in third place as well for that Ferrari. 1 second off of the guy in front of him. That would be the likes of Richard van Heerde. Jean-Ray Boete in fourth place. Team Kerygma Racing is looking absolutely phenomenal with him. Currently sitting in fourth with that 144.9, so great lap from him as well. Kyrie Duplessis in fifth for the Kramadulas Racing Ferrari. He's also doing really well, rounding off the top 5. Clint Langeveld in the Pandacity Esports BMW, also doing phenomenally well. Up in the top 6, he's got the likes of Johan Bluknoot, who is struggling actually. Johan Bluknoot, actually our current champion for the RaceFace.Pro Red Star GT3 Championship for Season 19. He's currently leading the pack in terms of championship standings, but he's currently not able to set a time fast enough to, you know, dethrone the likes of Jared Bukes up in front in first position. So he's going to have to really try and swing that Mustang around this track. The tires are going to be cooking, but he's going to have to throw it and do what he can. Currently sitting in 7th place. He's got about 4 minutes left here to try and work with that car and bring it up into a position where he can definitely be satisfied with. Ron van der Walt, the likes of the Pandacity Esports BMW, sitting behind him as well. So great stuff from him. We have seen a bit of an eventful season so far for the likes of Ron van der Walt. He's had a bit of a challenging time in that BMW, but he's hoping to bring it back. Jonathan Chislett, a name that we've only seen since last week at Paul Ricard, someone relatively new to the Pro-Am Championship in the Aston Martin Racing team. And he's been doing phenomenal as well. Henk Pieterse in the Hybrid Racing Masters Ferrari, also rounding off the top 10. Ulrich de Jager in the Griffin Sim Racing, currently sitting in pit lane. Otto Kraus, very good performance from him so far. He's also not had the best season so far in the Pro-Am division, usually sitting around the bottom 20 of the pack, but currently sitting in 12th place with his qualifying lap, so he'll be satisfied with that. Henry Platt, who we saw at the beginning of this qualifying session in first, is currently lying in 14th. Not able to actually improve on that time that he set, and currently sitting in 14th place, trying to, you know, potentially put in that lap time and chase some of the guys up in front. Jaro Pretorius, also in the Griffin Sim Racing Ferrari, doing relatively well in 15th. He had an amazing finishing position last week, a podium position for him actually, from pulling a very nice undercut strategy. So well done to him. He's going to try and carry that momentum here at the Hungaroring. Vessel Voda, a name that we've seen struggle a bit in the past race, is also bringing it around for the Gramadulas Racing team. John Viviers in the number 48, sorry, position 18 Hybrid Racing Masters Ferrari. Five-star, someone who we saw have a very unfortunate race last week at Port Ricard. Unfortunately, being involved in an incident and then being spun around and then receiving a couple of penalties and eventually retiring the car because it is not worth it to leave that car out for so long at the back of the pack. He decided to not waste resources, pull it in, and try again next week, which is this week here at the Hungaroring. Donnie Steenkamp, someone in the Griffin Sim Racing team, number 16, the Mustang. Also someone who we've seen struggle a little bit, but he's going to be trying to bring his A-game here at Hungaroring, trying to better himself. Ron Liebenberg in the Pandacity Esports Porsche 992 has done a phenomenal job as well throughout the season. He has kept it very consistent. Him and his teammate Bradley Searle, actually down in 25th, have been very close with each other. We saw it last night in the sprint race as well, finishing very close to each other most of the time. Mustafa Narodian in 24th place for the Triazzi Competizione Ferrari. Then we've got the likes of Hunty Myberg, who just disappeared as he went up, just crossing the line up into 16th position. So great stuff from him. Jody Sederman in still, in my opinion, the most attractive McLaren out on the track. That McLaren, the color scheme is just, it's so beautiful, man. The Delta Negative McLaren, throwing it around track as hard as he can. Mark Hedderberry in the Honda. So only person in Slick Racing in the Honda NSX Evo. So great stuff to see someone running in an unusual car. And, you know, Mark Hedderberry is actually someone very well known for running in those odd cars. We've seen him in the Endurance Series. You know, racing in the big boy Bentley, the Boatley, as some like to call it, because of its weird turning style. He actually won a 24-hour endurance in the Boatley. Reginald Mitteleni currently not able to set a lap time here. He's had some incredible consistency over the season. He's coming across, and I think that's going to be invalid again, unfortunately, for the likes of Reginald Mitteleni. Just not able to keep that car settled enough to you know, set a good enough lap time. So he's really struggling. We see his last as a 146.5. We've got the guys in 26th and 27th with a 145.9. So, currently not setting fast enough lap times. Johan Bloknoot, our current championship leader, up into second place now after just crossing the line over there, but still not able to dethrone Garrett Bukes, who has managed to keep that Ferrari well ahead in front. He's coming around now to come across the finish line. Will he be able to set an even faster time? He's currently sitting with a 143.8. Here he comes across the line. Will it be an improvisation? Can I English? Will it be an improvement? And unfortunately not. He's going to stick with it. 143.885. So not beating his 143.867. Johan Bloknoot sitting in second. Ian Upton, someone who we actually haven't seen up in the podium positions, doing pretty well actually up into third position for the Project Vapor Ferrari. He's been doing phenomenally well as well. Carrie Duplessis now in the Gramadulas Racing Ferrari, touching sand over there, flicking it up a little bit. And he is still running up nicely in fourth place, rounding up in the top 5. Vessel Voda has just crossed the line, and he's managed to get a good, consistent lap in, up into 5th place now for the Mercedes driver. And that's going to be a great start for him. Unfortunately, not many places to overtake, so he might be stuck near the 5th, 4th, and 6th position. But great start from him. We saw him in 2nd place last week, but that is going to round up some of our drivers who are not... some of the drivers who have finished their stints and are not able to set another time. We're going to go on board now with Clint Langeveld, who is still currently able to set a time. Pandacity Esports driver, the 81 BMW, coming around the final hairpin now, as we see in front. That is Ian Upton pulling his car back into the pit lane. He already comes around the corner. Clint Langeveld, will he be able to dethrone Gerard Pretorius in front of him and potentially make up a couple of positions? He comes across the line. Will it be an improvement? And unfortunately, it is not an improvement for the likes of him. Here comes Henry Platt. Also, still finishing up the track. A couple of drivers in front of him as well. Onno Kraus just coming across the line. We saw someone going up there that looked like the likes of Gavin Scruton, who we haven't seen in a while. Gavin Scruton setting a very good time there for the Team Triad Racing McLaren 720S Evo. Onno Kraus coming across for the Team Triad Racing Ford Mustang GT3. Great stuff from him. Henry Platt is going to be crossing the line, and he finishes it off in 14th place. So absolutely phenomenal stuff from him. We've got a very competitive grid over here. Garrett Bukes managing to dethrone Johan Bloknoot, not able to set that pole position time. So Garrett Bukes sitting in 1st place. That's going to be a great start for him. Johan Bloknoot, obviously, like we mentioned, sitting nicely in 2nd place, but he's going to want to chase down the likes of Garrett Bukes. He is going to have the inside line and potentially try and chase down the likes of Garrett Bukes. So we'll have a look at that. And there we go. We see the rain I'm going to quickly send us into a little bit of a break here, and I'll see you guys on the main grid. Alrighty then, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back on the main grid here for the RACEFACE.PRO Red Star GT3 Championship Season 19. We're here at round 5 at the Hungaroring, and what an amazing spectacle to see. The same thing that we saw last night. It is raining at the Hungaroring over here, so absolutely phenomenal scenes that we are seeing here at Hungaroring. It's going to be a bit challenging for these drivers now. They're going to have to try and do those last-minute PSI pressure changes. And boy, oh boy, we heard it in the interview room last night from the 3rd and 2nd place and 1st place finishers in the sprint series, saying that, wow, what an amazing thing it was in the beginning of the race, having to try and think of tire pressures. You know, it's a complete change of scenery. The track is wet. They're having to put on wet tires, and the tire pressures have to be changed differently. The optimum on dry tires is around 26.5 psi on all fours. And it's around 30 degrees for the wet tires. Not 30 degrees, sorry, 30 psi for all of the wet tires. So a very big change for some of these drivers that they have to do. But definitely capable. You know, these drivers are trained. These drivers know exactly what they're doing. We've got an absolutely immense grid of 29 drivers here in the Pro-Am division. I've seen some of the guys in Discord calling this division the Pro Light division, because these are technically all pro drivers. These guys race absolutely incredible. They keep it actually sometimes a little bit more consistent than the pro drivers, but we're going to have to see how that shapes up in the main race over here. John Mostert, actually, someone who we saw last night running in the Audi and tonight running in the BMW, so chosen a different car for the sprint series in the championship, giving himself a bit of a challenge. It's always something nice that we like to see. You know, drivers always trying to put pressure on themselves and try and see if they can make up positions or lose positions according to their car, and you know, see if their positions change according to those cars, you know, depending on how well they manage. But we are off over here, and I believe I was actually wrong. It looks like Garrett Bukes is going to have the inside line over Johan Bluknoot, so he is going to have to defend from Johan Bluknoot on the outside of him coming into turn 1. So Garrett Bukes is going to be carrying that inside line. That's going to put a nice smile on Samir Bukes' face, knowing that her family member is currently sitting nicely up in 1st place. He's got the inside line, and he's got a good chance to keep that position going into the rest of the race. So great stuff from him so far. Absolutely phenomenal stuff from the likes of Garrett Bukes. Ian Upton, also definitely a driver to look out for. He's had a pretty rough start to the season, unfortunately. We've seen him drop down quite low in some of the circumstances in some of the races, unfortunately, due to some of the challenges he's faced in the races. But currently sitting in 3rd place, he's got a great chance to try and finish well here, and he's just got to keep it consistent on this very slippery and very wet Hungaroring. And this is going to prove to be a big challenge for some of these drivers. You know, they're going to have to try and think of strategies. They're going to have to try and especially think of that main thing that we, me and Steven were talking about last night in the GT3 Sprint Series, the rear end of all of these cars. No matter where that engine is positioned. If the engine's all the way in the front, like the Mustang, if the engine's near the front, a little bit further, like the BMW, the mid-engine runners, like the Ferraris, and then obviously your rear engine runners, you've got the Lamborghinis and such. Every single car needs to watch that rear end. The rain is not friends with traction. Not at all. So traction control and rain do not mix well. The car is going to struggle. The car is going to show signs of struggle. And they're going to actually have to fight that car around some of these fast corners. That rear end is going to start to become very playful. And flashing over to our virtual grandstand, Samir Bukes saying, oh no, those curbs, slip and slide racing. We saw it last night. We're going to see it tonight again. These curbs become volatile. They become dangerous in the rain. You can see it over there on the helicam, how slippery and wet those curbs look. The tar is still looking relatively rough, but those curbs are shiny. And that is the issue with the curbs. You plant too much weight of the car on that curb, and it overrides all the grip that tire provides you, and your car will go flying. We saw it last night. We saw with the likes of Gideon Reyna. We actually saw him lose control of his Ferrari, and unfortunately burn it a little bit into the grass, and then losing it into the wall. So definitely something to watch out for. We've got a massive grid of drivers over here, so we're going to have to watch it. We're going to be up with Tim in the heli over here, as Steven likes to call him, Tim, up in the helicopter. We're going to be sitting with him up here, watching the race live to try and see the complete concertina effect that we're going to be witnessing into turn 1. Here we go. On the main straight, Jeff's going to be holding that checkered flag out. As soon as Harrod Bukes touches that start line, it'll be green light. And we're just waiting. There it is. And we have not started just yet. Lights out. Away we go. There we go. It is green light racing over here. Harrod Bukes managing to keep that gap. But Johan Blicknote putting a lot of pressure on him behind. Look at that absolutely phenomenal grid. Johan Blicknote looking to the outside line. Harrod Bukes diving very up onto the inside to try and keep that position. Let's flash back. Oh, and there's a little bit of spin there. That looks like the likes of one of the Aston Martins, unfortunately losing a little bit of time. I believe that will be the likes of, I actually don't know who that might be. That is one of the red glowing Aston Martins, who I cannot find right now. He's obviously made a bit of a position change, but absolutely phenomenal stuff so far. Oh, Harrod Bukes looking very unsettled on the car, coming out of the exit over there. Now Johan Blicknote taking the lead from him, unfortunately losing that time. Johan Blicknote going out wide, having to take that external part of the track over there in that kink, and now he's losing the position again to Harrod Bukes. Absolutely phenomenal stuff between the top two over here. Look at them fighting with each other. This is only lap 1, and they are putting so much pressure on each other. The likes of Johan Blicknote and Harrod Bukes. Harrod Bukes now jumping the curb. Is he going to give the position back? He unfortunately did not meet his braking point, and he's missed the curve in the chicane here at Hungaroring. And Johan Blicknote might be looking at that and shaking his head, saying, oh no, that I don't think was fair. Losing that Mustang a little bit. We're seeing that rear end whip out, and unfortunately that's a Pandacity driver, Ron van der Walt, losing the car in the background. Another driver that looks like Jean Mostert losing the car as well. So this is turning out to be very eventful. The track is extremely wet, and the drivers are seriously struggling to keep traction here. We are seeing so much rain being flung out behind the back of these GT3s. We've got the likes of a Ferrari there in the background that looks like Henk Pieterse, and a Richard van Heerden, who is unfortunately also way further out. He's struggling a lot with that Ferrari. He's fallen off very heavily from the pack, obviously having a bit of an incident. We're not going to flash back as we might miss some more action. There's so much rain going on that we might be seeing a very big difference over here. So Harrod Bukes still leading this race out of the first lap. Very eventful first lap. He lost control of the car a little bit. Then Johan Blicknote lost control of the car. Harry Duplessis almost actually benefiting from that, from the two of those drivers messing up a little bit. But what an absolute start it has been to this race. These drivers are putting constant pressure on each other no matter the conditions, and we're seeing it very, very highly. We're seeing these drivers putting an immense amount of pressure. That was the likes of Jason Landsberg that I'm seeing now at the start of the race, who unfortunately got bumped, but managing to keep 7th place still. He's got the likes of Gerard Pretorius and Ian Upton fighting in front of him. So a little bit of a train starting to already form between these drivers. But man, absolutely phenomenal stuff. Hansi Myberg now up into 12th position. There's and there goes a car completely straight. There goes up another Pandacity car. Oh no! That is hectic. I believe that's the likes of Ron van der Walt. No, it's not the likes of Ron van der Walt. That might be the likes of... That's another one of the Pandacity drivers. Clint Langenveld, indeed. Unfortunately, Clint Langenveld. Let's go back 30 seconds and see what happened here. That was a very eventful kink. We saw some drivers going straight through, and unfortunately Clint Langenveld just not having the traction. One of the drivers just missed the apex completely over there. That was the likes of the Honda NSX Evo, and there goes Clint Langenveld into the barrier at a very high speed. Unfortunately, these drivers are really starting to struggle out here, and unfortunately that looked like the likes of Mark Hennebury, who lost control of his car over there a little bit. He's back on track now, thankfully. But wow, absolutely eventful stuff over there. This is going to continue happening throughout the rest of the race. Clint Langenveld now at the complete back of the grid. Unfortunately, after that spin, Richard van Heerden also still managing to actually catch up to the pack after that incident. Great stuff from him. Let's flash back up now to our leaders. Harrod Bukes actually leading and having a relatively good gap to the likes of Johan Blicknote. 1.1 second gap. But there's already a train forming here for first. Harrod Bukes is followed nicely by Johan Blicknote, Harry Duplessis, then in 3rd place, and Wessel Voda up into 4th place, trying to redeem himself from the poor race he had last week at Paul Ricard, diving very, very hard into that turn over there. Unfortunately, touching that green, that's going to unsettle the car a little bit, unfortunately, and pushing a little bit too hard for that Mercedes to handle. That car is sliding at the rear end, and he's going to have to try and control the car a little bit more. But he's still having an incredible fight. He's dropped off a little bit from the top 3 runners, but he does not have too much pressure from behind. Jason Landsberg has a really big gap, 3.9 second gap to him and Vessel Voda, so very big gap. But Jason Landsberg is the train leader for 5th, so he's got the likes of Cara Pretorius behind. Then we've got a bit of a gap. Jandre Buerta in the Team Kerugma Racing Porsche 992, the number 153, has got the likes of Arno Kraus having an absolutely phenomenal start to his race, up into the top 10 for the Team Triad Racing Ford Mustang. Absolutely incredible stuff from him. Ron van der Walt behind him in the Pandacity Infiltrate BMW. He's now getting pressure applied by the likes of Jonathan Chislett, who is trying to make up any form of time he can to any driver struggling in front of him. He's got the likes of Hansi Maiberg putting a bunch of pressure on him. And Hansi has also been a figure who has been quite dominating in the mid-pack. He's been doing lots of undercut pit strategies, getting that car in, finishing off his 2 mandatory pit stops, and running out wide. That's another big thing of the feature race compared to the sprint race. We've got 2 mandatory pit stops that need to be finished and a 1 hour and 20 minute race. So that's 80 minutes of total racing, 2 mandatory pit stops that need to be performed, or else you will receive a hectic 130-second penalty, which will completely drop you off of any chance of winning this race. But the pit window opens in about 4 minutes time, and then drivers will have to start and making strategies. You know, some drivers will pit immediately, getting that pit stop done. Some drivers will hold it off later on to the end, and you know, keeping them consistent, trying to keep in the pack, not losing out too much. But some drivers might be thinking, hey, I'm in a lot of dirty air right now, and pitting could really benefit me. You know, if I pit, I could get it out into clean air. I could get my laps sorted out if I am setting 2 slow laps. But, you know, it's all coming down to strategy. Hansi Maiberg now getting pressure from his fellow, very sportsmanlike teammate, Henry Platt. If you watched last week's race at Paul Ricard, it was a very fellowship moment to watch as Henry Platt actually pushed the likes of Hansi Maiberg over the line when Hansi Maiberg ran out of fuel. I think it's going to be something that Steven is going to mention every single time we enter onto the track about Hansi being carried over the line by his teammate. So also great sportsmanship being shown between the 2 team members. Let's flash back later down to the pack. Donnie Steenkamp also having an amazing stuff. We're just going to flash up a bit. The likes of 48, Viviers, has just had a bit of an incident. We're going to flash back with him here to see what happened. Diving up at the inside of Mostad. Did he get tapped? Oh, and unfortunately contact between him and Mostad has just happened. He's gone off at the chicane, managing to keep the car straight, thankfully. And he has managed to not lose out too much. The likes of Mostad has now kept ahead of him, actually. Now in front of Feistar as well. So unfortunately, the likes of... who did he just have an accident with? Did I just go completely blank? That is the likes of the 48 car, who is Johan Viviers. Sorry, I don't know why I went blank there. Oh, and that's an Aston Martin in the background. That looks like the likes of Jonathan Chislett. Let's go on board with him. I don't even see his name. The 619 car. I think Jonathan Chislett has unfortunately disconnected from the race. I do not see him on my race radar. So unfortunately, Jonathan Chislett has disconnected. I'm hoping it's not some form of mechanical error and maybe just some form of connection issue. If it is, he's got to hop back into the car and get going. Ruan Liebenberg into the pit lane now. But pit lane is not open. The pit window is not open for him to do his pit stop. So I wonder if he had severe damage and he had to come in because he was struggling with that Porsche. But unfortunately, if he waited 1 more lap, he would have been all good. And maybe he has retired the car. He's looking like a little bit of a long pit stop. So potentially retiring that car for the rest of the race, which could be an unfortunate sight to see. Jean Mostert in the background there, losing the rear end of that BMW a little bit. Drivers are really struggling here in the rain at Hungaroring, and it's something that we're just going to continue to see. But we have got a podium change. Johan Blichnoot has lost the position to the likes of Carrie Duplessis. He's now got pressure by the likes of Vessel Voda. But talking about that, unfortunately, the person we were just on board with, Jean Mostert, who was pushing that BMW to the limits, has received the first drive-through penalty of this session. Unfortunately, missing out completely. And that is so unfortunate for him. Drive-through penalty for him. But back up to the top, Johan Blichnoot up into 3rd place position. Harry Duplessis has now claimed his 2nd place spot, and he's got the likes of Vessel Voda putting pressure on him. Let's have a look at our virtual grandstand. We've got some more chatter up in here. Chris Collison saying, go Gerrit Bukes. Yes, indeed, go Gerrit Bukes. He is pushing real hard up in front. He's got a 1.8 second gap now to the likes of Harry Duplessis behind him, so he's doing phenomenally well. Chris Carlson. Yes, so that is exactly how I've been pronouncing it. I hope my pronunciation is correct. I know Steven has unfortunately been struggling a little bit with the pronunciation. I think we have... he has started improving a little bit. We've giving him some media training with your name. But you're saying, sorry to miss the race, watching live from Silverstone Circuit tonight. That is absolutely incredible. So you're currently at the Silverstone Circuit watching the race. Absolutely incredible. And that is so cool to watch. You know, I mean, real-life sim racing mixed with real-life racing, motorsport, mixed with sim racing. So always a cool thing to see. The pit window is now open. So unfortunately, if the likes of Ron Liebenberg waited a little bit, he is back out on track. He would have completed one of his pit stops. Unfortunately, still having to do 2 full pit stops. So real unfortunate from him. Garrett Bukes is still leading first place. Currently 2.7 second gap to the likes of Harry Duplessis behind him. So he's really putting on his A game tonight. He has made sure that that Ferrari is as stable as can be. There's no sliding here. That is not a Ferrari. That's actually a boat. And it is absolutely skating across this water. He's doing a phenomenal job. You have the pronunciation bang on, mate. Good job. Awesome. Great to hear. Chris Collison up in the virtual grandstand. One of our Pro-Am drivers actually, unfortunately, not able to join us tonight, but will definitely be here for next week as we head to Misano for round 6. But incredible stuff so far, man. We are having an absolutely incredible race. These drivers are giving us some amazing entertainment. Jason Landsberg nicely joining in on the train for second place here, up into 5th place. He's made the position on Gerard Pretorius, who was in 5th, and now in 6th position. Jandre Buerta in Team Charisma Racing has dropped off a little bit from the pack in front. He's got the likes of Arno Kraus, who is really maintaining very well in that Ford Mustang. Driving very nicely behind the likes of Jandre Buerta. He has got the likes of Ron van der Volt. I'm seeing Jonathan Chislett back on my radar, but he is unfortunately not here anymore. So super unfortunate stuff to see him go. He is unfortunately disconnected. But Ron van der Volt chilling very nicely up into 9th place. Hansi Myberg in 10th place as well. Great stuff from him, keeping up in 10th place. He's got his teammate still. He's very supportive and sportsmanship teammate sitting very up in front. And let's go back up to the top. The virtual grandstand is loving this action from the likes of Garrett Bukes. Arjan Balder saying, go Garrett. Yes, indeed, go Garrett. He is absolutely flying here on the water circuit. And Chris Collison saying, come on, Garrett, squeeze the lemon. He's actually got the lemon wrapped around his car over there. You can see all that yellow juice. And it looks absolutely amazing. It looks intimidating and aggressive. And he's driving the car exactly how it should be. That car is driving very nicely up in front of the pack. And you see that rain light flashing. That's all his competitors can see. He's starting to make a bit of a distance now. And through all that mist, all that you can see is that flashing red light. All that yellow is starting to dissipate and running away. But he's doing an absolutely phenomenal job for the Sim Alpha SRS team. The number 3, Gerard Bukes, is doing absolutely incredibly well. Let's go back down. Wessel Voda still putting an immense amount of pressure on the likes of Johan Blichnoot. Jason Landsberg is slowly starting to creep up on the likes of both of them. So he is going to slowly start to join in on this fight. Let's see what happens. Johan Bukes now saying, go, brother, go. Definitely the brother of the likes of Gerard Bukes in chat now joining in. We've got someone in pit lane. I believe that's the likes of Ian Upton, who's got a bit of damage on the front of that Ferrari, but is definitely going to be completing one of his mandatory pit stops. Donnie Steenkamp, someone who has already finished the pit stop. Same with the likes of Ulrich de Jager. 2 drivers who have completed their one of their mandatory pit stops. So good stuff from them. Definitely going for the undercut strategy here at the rainy Hungaroring. So great stuff from them. We're already seeing the strategies being played by all the different types of drivers, all the different types of driving styles. And what you're currently seeing with Ulrich de Jager, let's go on board with him so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly what you want, right? This is exactly what you want. Look at this. He's sitting in 25th, right? Cool. It may seem like he's far back, but look who's in front of him. Absolutely no one. So he's pulled the pit stop. He's got completely clean air in front of him, and that's exactly what he wanted. You know, he's chilling very nicely. He doesn't have to worry about things behind him or in front of him. He's just got to worry about setting good, consistent lap times, which is exactly what he's going to do. Flashback to the top 3 over here. Top 4, may I add. Top 5, actually. Let's add that in. Jason Landsberg now creeping even closer to Wessel Voda in front of him. So incredible stuff. Gerard Pretorius sitting behind him in 6th, who is dropped off completely, unfortunately. So bad stuff from him. But he is definitely going to be wanting to put on the pressure and try and close up that gap. He is taking it very carefully over those curbs. We know those curbs are indeed very, very slippery. Jean-Ray Buerta still running nicely in the Team Kerugma Racing. And let's look at Feistar, someone who we had on our camera. There's the cat being able to be seen much nicer over here on this aerial camera. Someone who we saw struggling very hard last week at Paul Ricard. He qualified well. He managed to outpace the likes of Johan Blichnout, who is the championship leader. He did extremely well to fight him off, and then unfortunately getting an incident with the likes of Johan Blichnout and dropping off completely, and then receiving penalties. So he is in here for redemption. He wants to redeem himself here at the slippery Hungaroring, but he does not have it easy. He's got the likes of Gavin Scruton, the Team Tryhard Racing McLaren, putting pressure on him as well from behind. Gavin Scruton is not going to let it go easy. He's pushing on very hard, and Gavin Scruton is someone who we know has been here for a while. He's been here for many of RaceFace seasons. He's going to continue to put pressure on Feistar. I believe he's been here for longer than Feistar, so it's more like a veteran versus a relatively new guy, and we have to see who is going to win this fight. So great stuff from all of them so far, though. Bradley Searle, someone who we saw struggling a little bit last night in the sprint series, also doing phenomenally well on his side in 14th, now 13th position. It seems that the radar has updated as 13th in the bottom right, but still 14th, which is weird. So a 14th position we shall stick at for the likes of Bradley Searle, still doing incredibly well. Reginald Mitteleni pulling it very nicely up into 14th position, 15th position. Man, this is so confusing. Both of these telemetry items are a little bit off, but he's got a very big fight happening behind him. The likes of Johan Viviers in 16th and Mustafa Narodian in 17th. Both of these guys putting an immense amount of pressure on each other, and Henk Pieterse in 18th position, putting a lot of pressure on him as well. So, the likes of Mark Henneberry behind them, who's also doing incredibly well in that Honda NSX Evo. He's kept a very good solid race in that Honda, so he's doing well. And he actually unfortunately had that unfortunate incident in the chicane before the current one that we're on. He went wide and didn't manage to get that car slowed down all in all, and went off completely. So unfortunate stuff from him. Jaco Kröbler in front in the Saki Bors Ferrari, the number 145 car in 19th position. Jason Landsberg has now completed one of his pit stops. That's why, oh, that was almost Richard van Heerden in the wall over there. Sorry, that reaction was unfortunately not the greatest here. I just saw a green Hulk Ferrari slowly starting to lose traction behind in the camera. But back onto Jason Landsberg. So he's doing incredibly well. He's now decided to do the pit stop early, get the undertake possibly done, and he can possibly do it if he keeps it consistent, if he keeps the car going. He's currently got fastest lap of the session, so that just proves that doing that pit stop early and doing the undercut could potentially get these guys going. And we saw it last week at Paul Ricard. He was nowhere to be seen up until the last 15 minutes, where all of a sudden appeared in the top 5. And that was because of that powerful undercut. He might be able to do it again. Here he goes for a position on the likes of Jaco Kröbler in front, who goes defensive and then comes out again. So both of these guys fighting really hard with each other. And Jason Landsberg applying continuous pressure on him. We're going to go back down. Jody Sierman in that gorgeous green McLaren, also doing incredibly well. Still 23rd position for that McLaren. He also hasn't had that greater performance. He did really well last week at Paul Ricard, but before that, he was struggling a little bit in that McLaren to get the car rolling. So, unfortunate teams from him, down in 20th position. He has not done any of his pit stops, unfortunately, so that is also not going to contribute to any form of factor. But he has done a great job to keep the car consistent. It's something that some of the drivers are really struggling with, and he is managing to keep it all nice and good. Ruben Liebenberg, the Pandacity driver, unfortunately still sitting down in 28th position, and he is still trying to bring that Porsche back up to where it belongs with the rest of his teammates. He's got the likes of Ron van der Walt up in 7th position currently in the Pandacity BMW, who's doing incredibly well. But, we got the likes of Ruben Liebenberg down further, who has still got 2 full pit stops needing to be done. As we mentioned, he unfortunately did a pit stop not even 10 minutes, a minute too early, and that unfortunately led to him not fulfilling one of his mandatory pit stops. Let's have a look at our virtual grandstand. We've got Nix Owl joining us there in that VIP seat saying, let's go Langeveld. That is definitely going to be the likes of Clint Langeveld. Let me just find him for you so we can spectate him. Here you go. 24th position, Clint Langeveld in the Pandacity Esports. And I believe he's also relatively new to the Pandacity Esports team, which is a great thing to see. More teams trying to grab a couple more drivers who have been showing a good amount of consistent pace. So great stuff to see. We're seeing some teams being built, which is always a nice thing to see at RaceFace. But let's talk again about the amazing thing that some of these drivers can win. In specific, the drivers currently sitting very high up on the grid. We've got the likes of Johan Blicknoot back in second position. These drivers can currently, well, currently it would be Johan Blicknoot sitting at the championship lead, but anything can happen. We've still got 3 races left. But thanks to our title sponsor, as you can see in the bottom left of your screen, the title sponsor of the RACEFACE.PRO Red Star GT3 Pro-Am Championship, that would be the likes of Red Star Raceway. They have given a track experience to the winner of the Pro-Am division for Season 19. So how incredible is that? Going from sim racing to all of a sudden being one of the guys out on track, getting an opportunity to drive a real-life car, getting an opportunity to do something more, and get out of that cockpit sitting in your room and get into a real-life cockpit. You get to smell that petroleum or the diesel, depending on that car. You get to feel the speed, the G-forces, and your hands aching from that force-ridden steering wheel. And, you know, it's not adjustable like it is on the one in the Sims, unfortunately. It's according to car. So, great stuff from Red Star. Absolutely phenomenal stuff sponsoring the title of Pro-Am. And we've also got PokerBet. We know PokerBet is the title sponsor for the Pro Division, offering a 150,000 Rand pool for the GT3 Championship for Season 19. So incredible stuff. And it's always an amazing thing to see such big brands coming in to sponsor the RaceFace.Pro League here. RaceFace has been majorly consistent with trying to keep races flowing throughout the South African leagues. And it has paid off. We've gotten some amazing sponsors in here that are doing some phenomenal work for these guys. And it has only done the correct thing, which is, you know, bring more drivers in. Drivers are seeing a good prize pool, and they're wanting to race more. Wessel Voda now putting pressure on the likes of Harry Duplessis, but not having too much place to go to. We know Hungaroring is notorious for not having many places on track to actually perform a decent overtake. The only place you can really do it is the main straight. So that is a super unfortunate thing for some of these drivers who are really trying to push it. Oh, an incident captured live. I just fortunately managed to click on Mark Hennebury, and we see him involved in an incident coming into the slow hairpin. Oh, and making contact. That looks like, I actually can't remember, that's Mustafa Narodian in that Triazi Competizione Ferrari, unfortunately making contact with the like of Mark Hennebury in the Slick Racing Honda. So unfortunate stuff from him. Mustafa Narodian managing to keep that car on track after that incident. But great stuff for him to keep it on. But unfortunate incident for both of them. That is definitely going to affect the likes of Mark Hennebury in the Honda. Unfortunately, down now in 22nd. He already had an incident earlier on in the race. Hoping to try and maybe keep it clean for the remainder of the race. And it does not look like that's going to happen. He's going to definitely try and push it, though, as much as he can. Because he's still got a lot of time left. But great stuff regardless from all drivers. Virtual Grandstand is still absolutely popping between everyone over here. Let's go have a look at how the gap is looking. So Harry Duplessis has not made too much of a difference to the likes of Johan Blicknoot behind. Still, you know, a good 4-second gap. He's got the likes of a back marker in front of him. That looks like the likes of Clint Langeveld, who is currently in the mix of the top runners. And unfortunately, another driver who has received a drive-through penalty, well, from what I've seen, is the likes of Hansi Mayberg. So unfortunately receiving a drive-through for not obeying the track limits here at Hungaroring. And he has received a drive-through penalty, which he'll have to serve within the next 3 laps, or else he will be administered a worse penalty. So unfortunate stuff from him. Mark Hennebury now, someone who we saw have that incident last lap, now pulling in to do one of his mandatory pit stops. We've got 46 minutes left of the pit window, and drivers are going to have to start to strategize now, trying to think of what to do. Mark Hennebury now, you know, maybe not wanting to go for the undercut, but now he's forced to go for the undercut due to that damage. But still definitely something to do. He's got a pit stop that needs to get done, so he anyway needed to do a pit. And that's not going to slow him down all too badly. So not too bad from him. Unfortunately, you know, losing that position from that contact, and he's further down. But he's still doing phenomenally well. Gavin Scruton, someone who we've also been on board with a while, still doing very well, fighting off 5-star in front of him. 5-star Lots and lots of pressure in that Libertas Fies Ferrari 296. He's got the likes of Gavin Scruton putting a lot of pressure, and then Hansi Myberg behind him with the drive-through penalty. So unfortunate for him, Henry Platt, the teammate of Hansi Myberg and Gavin Scruton, that is Team Tryhard Racing, who is doing phenomenally well as well. Henry Platt has been someone who has completed a very consistent schedule of races so far. He hasn't had the best of best finishes. He likes to do all of his pit stops very late in the game and run very nicely up there, and then unfortunately drop down further due to having to get those mandatory pit stops done. So he's putting pressure on the likes of Jean-Ray Buerta now, looking up on the inside into the first turn. Jean-Ray Buerta goes out wide. Will he give that position to the likes of Henry Platt? Henry Platt now up on the inside. Jean-Ray Buerta goes out wide, and Henry Platt makes it look easy. But now, Jean-Ray Buerta up on the inside has lost the position though completely to Henry Platt, and I don't think he's going to be able to get that. Here he goes. Dive bomb. It's going to be contact, and that is unfortunate, but it seems like they've managed to hold it together. Henry Platt managing to keep that car under control. Thankfully, a little bit of a slow-paced collision as they were breaking into the hairpin, but that could have gone a whole lot worse. That was a bit scary. I called the contact coming in. I could definitely see it that that Porsche was not slowing down fast enough, and contact had to be made, unfortunately. So, very very great racing from these drivers. We're seeing the consistency show, but that was a great move so far by Henry Platt. He's going to want to continue moving now. He's got the likes of Ron van der Volt in front of him, who is a good 8.8 seconds ahead. So not an easy target to just chase down and get, but he's definitely going to have to do something about it. Try and potentially break through and make those positions. I just want to mention someone here. Someone who's really been struggling across the season. And he's in a phenomenal place from now. Honor Cross. Come on, guys. We have to give a round of applause to Honor Cross. He has had a tough start to the season. We saw him last race, unfortunately at the back of the pack at Paul Ricard, and then at Zandvoort before that. He really did not have a fun race. He was really far at the back. And now, in the rain at Hungaroring, where you can't do that much passing, he is up into 6th position for the 8-110 Team Tryhard Racing Ford Mustang. So absolutely incredible performance there from Honor Cross. He's really showing his pace here, and he can definitely deserve the Michael Schumacher badge there, because his rainy day skills are really starting to show through. He's showing some incredible performance. He's keeping a good, consistent pace. He's got the likes of Cara Pretorius in front, and I believe he is actually catching him as well. Cara Pretorius has got the likes of Wessel Voda now a little bit in front of him. They've still got the likes of Clint Langerveld in the middle of that top pack, who is still trying to, process all the drivers behind him. But Johan Blucknote now actually breaking away quite nicely from the likes of Harry Duplessis behind him, but not able to catch the likes of Harry Bukes in that Hornet Swarm looking Ferrari. He's breaking away very nicely, 4.8 second gap already, so he's doing phenomenally well. He's got the likes of Mark Henry behind him in the Honda Slick Racing, and he's had an unfortunate race like we've seen. He's got a drive-through penalty as well, so Mark Henry, if it couldn't get worse, has just gotten worse for this race. Having a couple of incidents and then putting to do one of his pit stops, has now received a drive-through for not adhering to the track limit. So unfortunate stuff from him. He's going to most probably drop down to last place. He's only got 2 drivers behind him. That is the likes of Clint Langerveld and unfortunately Ian Upton, who has also had a bit of a tough race. He started well, started nice and high up on the leaderboard, and now is very far down, unfortunately. But he's going to get that free position on Mark Henry when he does make the decision to pit. Jason Landsberg, also someone who we have been watching from last race, has done quite a very neat undercut. If you look at the sides of your screen, Jason Landsberg is the only person in the pack right there with 1 pit stop complete. So he's got Mustafa Narodian, Reginald Mittelani, Bradley Searle, Feistar, Gavin Scruton, Jean-Ray Buerta, Jonathan Chislett, who's not here anymore, Henry Platt, Ron van der Vold, and everyone besides them up until first, who have still got 2 pit stops left. So Jason Landsberg is currently the only driver, well, currently the potential provisional pole in terms of pit stops. He's the highest 1 stop left driver, and he's putting pressure on the drivers with two pit stops left. Now, putting pressure on the likes of Mustafa Narodian and Reginald Mittelani, who are fighting each other, and he's going to look for a quick bypass here. getting past both drivers potentially. They're going defensive. We see Mustafa Narodian going up on the inside. Jason Landsberg having to try and avoid contact there, keeping it neat around the outside. He's got the likes of Richard van Heerden behind, who thankfully still has a pit stop to do over him. Richard van Heerden, who's also trying to keep it consistent nicely up in the top 16. He's also had an eventful race so far with the rear end of that Ferrari, acting like an uncontrolled child a little bit. You know, we've seen it throughout the race with all of these drivers, but we've seen him, unfortunately, a little bit too many times on camera, losing the rear end of that Ferrari and really struggling to keep it under control. But so far in 16th position, not doing too bad at all. He's got the likes of Jaco Grobler behind him, who's also doing incredibly well. And you can see how those cars are dragging around that left hook. And it's so scary to actually watch those cars flying past, because that could potentially be a very hectic accident if that rear end does decide to snap. We could see drivers in the wall, drivers in the sand, drivers in the grass. But thankfully, we're seeing everyone staying smooth, except for Jean-Ray Buerta, who has just received a drive-through penalty. Let's flash back with him. It looks like he's got damage, going very wide. Oh, tapping one of the McLarens from Team Tryhard and powering that Porsche straight into the wall. So, damn, he got a double whammy, getting the drive-through and then getting hit. Well, unfortunately, I believe that contact would be him. He tried to rejoin and hitting into, I think that was the likes of Henry Platt or Gavin Scruton, and then receiving damage on that Porsche. So is he going to serve the drive-through, or is he going to do his repair to that car? Because he's definitely got a lot of damage on the front of that car now. So we'll be on board with him to watch with that. There comes Mustafa Narodian now making the overtake on him. Reginald Mittelani also. And Jason Landsberg still keeping it nice and cool, calm under pressure. And he's now going very slow. What's going on with Jason Landsberg? He's braking. Jason Landsberg is pulling the car off to the side. What's going on with Jason Landsberg? Has he had some form of issue? The car is pulled off. He's just let a bunch of drivers past. And he's going again. I'm so confused from what we're seeing right now. Jason Landsberg just slowed down on the main straight, let a couple of drivers through, and now he's continued to race. So, potentially, could have definitely been some form of mechanical issue on the sim rig. Maybe having a wheel disconnection and just, you know, braking, letting the car ease off. Maybe a lag spike even. We've seen it happen, unfortunately. And he's thankfully kept the car under control. Thankfully, he's back on track. I was starting to worry there and think that I would see his car disappear from a disconnection. But thankfully, keeping it nice and clean and consistent. Henry Platt also fighting very hard. He's got the likes of his teammate in front of him, Gavin Scruton, who has now made the overtake on him. So these guys also fighting really hard. We've got 37 minutes left of this pit window and 47 minutes left of the RACEFACE.PRO Red Star GT3 Pro-Am Championship for Season 19. So great stuff from all of these drivers so far. Let's head back up to the top. The not green, am I colorblind, man? Damn. The yellow Swarm Hornet of Carrot Bukes, who has shown some incredible rain pace here. The Ayrton Senna of the rain over here. He's got the likes of Johan Bluknoot there. We just saw him in the background. Still coming around the hairpin. So still a 4.4 second gap. And that gap is not getting smaller. So that's unfortunately a big issue for the likes of Johan Bluknoot. Not doing too well to catch up to the likes of Carrot Bukes. So he's going to have to put in performance. But Wessel Voda now making an overtake on the left-hand kink on Harry Duplessis. Harry Duplessis having to brake that Ferrari to not cause the collision. But now Wessel Voda going wide, cutting up on the inside to gain their position over the likes of Harry Duplessis. Man, what is going on? These guys are putting an immense amount of pressure on each other, even in the rain. The curbs are staring at them like, damn, you guys are playing it risky here. But these guys do not care. They're giving their all. And you can see it's absolutely phenomenal racing here at RaceFace. These guys do not mess around. Unfortunately, seeing the carbon liveries due to both of these drivers not having their liveries rendered. Both the Krambulis racing guys, unfortunately, that might potentially be either one of their fault or my fault. Obviously mentioned that we did not get the livery synced for this race. But they could have also not added their liveries in time, which could be unfortunate. But great stuff from them so far. Arno Kraus also doing still phenomenally well, like we mentioned earlier. And now, Henk Pieterse in the Hybrid Racing Masters receiving another, well, not another him, another drive-through of the session to Henk Pieterse. So really unfortunate for him. He's just unfortunately not keeping that car within the track limit. We saw him there through the chicane, playing it very safe actually. avoiding those curbs as much as he can, as he's a little bit scared now. You know, he's got the drive-through. He's like, flip, I cannot afford to get another drive-through penalty. That will completely sell my race. It's already unfortunately sold a little bit of the race now that he has to do a drive-through, and still 2 mandatory pit stops, so not too great from his side. Jason Landsberg has dropped off a little bit, unfortunately. He's down in 20th position now. Did he potentially have some form of incident now that he's behind Jody Sederman? He was behind the likes of Reginald Mittelanian, Mustafa Narodian in 12th and 13th position. So now he's fighting the likes of Jody Sederman. Jody Sederman has lost the position, but he's not going to let it go too easily. So Jody Sederman now unfortunately has lost it to the likes of Landsberg in that red Aston Martin, who has now made the position stick for the Jason Aston Martin team. So great stuff from him. He needs a livery design for him. We've got an amazing team of community guys who just do liveries for everyone. Myself included, I do lots and lots of liveries, specifically the Omnius Gaming liveries that we see. And then we've got the likes of another Buerta. I believe it's actually the main guy racing right now. That might be the likes of Janre Buerta. Yes, so the Team Karugma Racing driver, Janre Buerta, in 19th position. This guy over here. This guy knows how to make liveries. So if you ever need liveries done, come to this guy's DMs on Discord. Let him know, hey, I need a livery done, because he knows what he's doing. I think about 8 or 9 of the cars on grid have been done by him. He's definitely someone who has helped with some of these liveries. He's done the Team Triad Racing liveries, and they look absolutely incredible. So he's definitely someone who is amazing at doing liveries. So if you're needing liveries done, even if you're needing new liveries done and you don't know how to, as we actually see an overtake there for the Team Triad Racing boys. Gavin Scruton losing that position to Henry Platt. But back onto the point of Janre Buerta. He's phenomenal at liveries, so go ahead and contact him if you need them. And he'll be with you. And I think he's also relatively fast at getting those processed. So anyways, back onto the racing now. Vessel Voda has made the overtake on Carrie Duplessis like we saw. And he has extended it now. He's got a back marker in between them. I believe that's the likes of Mustafa Narodian, who is down in 23rd position. That is indeed the likes of Mustafa Narodian, who has put a bit of a gap now between the likes of Vessel Voda and Harry Duplessis. So these two drivers, Harry Duplessis is going to be wanting to fight back to the likes of Vessel Voda, his teammate in the Gramadulas Racing Academy team, well, not Academy team, the main team, sorry. And these guys are going to be fighting hard. You see that tail whip coming from that Ferrari, and this rain is really not letting off, man. Last night, obviously, we had a much shorter race in the 45-minute sprint series, but the rain did dry off near the end of the race. So we're hoping to maybe see some form of rain falling off near the end of this race. We are now 2 minutes and 36 seconds away from a halfway point. So these drivers just need to do exactly what they did since the beginning of the race. So phenomenal stuff so far. Almost about 40 minutes left. And then we'll be at halfway point. Then they'll just need to push, keep those tires consistent. And yeah, 100%. Let's look back at our virtual grandstand. Samir Buick saying, this is nerve-wracking racing. I couldn't agree more. These guys are really putting the pedal to the metal, even considering the conditions. You know, we've got so many guys. There's a massive train going on here. Carrie Duplessis, like we've mentioned, he's got the likes of Vessel Voda in front of him, and Carrot Pretorius now toning in behind. So everyone is just doing exactly what they need to do, but trying to keep that car cautious, you know, especially coming out of the exits. We heard it last night in the interview room with our second place finisher for the sprint series, the likes of Henry Mayer, saying he had an incident on the final corner of the final lap, or second final lap, where he just put too much throttle on that McLaren coming out, and unfortunately it unsettled the rear. So even your throttle management in the rain over here becomes a lot more stricter. You've got a lot less of that throttle map to play with, and you have to be a little bit more cautious with the boundaries that your car can play with, you know. A little bit too much throttle in a bit of a wet spot, and that rear end is going to say goodbye, and it's going to head the opposite direction of where you're wanting to head. So you need to be careful with that, especially because if that does happen, you're going to see the rest of the drivers, but not the back side of them, the front side of them. And that's not what we want to see. We want to see consistent racing, following each other, not looking at each other face to face. We've had those incidents before. I've had that incident before when I did do some racing here at RACEFACE. It's a scary thing, man. All of a sudden you're racing, next thing there's a driver in front of you, you can see his helmet, you're like, wait a minute, why do I see a front windshield and not a rear windshield? And next thing you know, you're in front of him and you absolutely lambaste the front of that car due to not being able to move out of the way. So it does happen. We try and avoid it as much as we can. The drivers try and avoid it as much as they can, and they try and keep it consistent. So let's have a look now. We've still got first place down to 13th, who have not done pit stops. Johan Bluknoot has not taken first place. I believe the likes of Gerrit Bukes, indeed he has. Gerrit Bukes has made his first pit stop, and I believe Johan Bluknoot is coming in, and so is Wessel Voda, to come and do their first pit stops. So let's see, will Gerrit Bukes come out in first? I think he will, unless he gets stuck in some heavy traffic. I think he will claim that position back from the likes of Johan Bluknoot. Gary Duplessis staying out though. He'll come and pit in at another lap, maybe a little bit later on. 29 minutes left though of this pit window. And let's have a look so far at what our grid is shaping out to be. So Johan Bluknoot, currently our provisional pole. Well, actually it's Gary Duplessis in second. Wessel Voda in third, still Gerrit Pretorius in fourth. But now Arno Kraus fifth, Ryan van der Walt in sixth, Gavin Scruton in seventh, Henry Platt in 8th, then the likes of Jonathan Chisler, who's not here, Bradley Searle in 9th place, Feistar in 10th place, Reginald Mitteleni in 11th place, Richard van Heerden in 12th place, Jean Mostert in that BMW for the Tide Troopers in 13th, followed by Gerrit Bukes, the provisional pole for this race, in 14th place, Jason Landsberg just behind him now, both of them having one pit stop done, so we can see that undercut working out in 15th, Jaco Grubler in 16th, followed by Ulrich de Jager in 17th place. Coming to the pit lane now, Hansi Meiberg in 18th, Dani Steenkamp in 19th position, followed by Johan Verveers, Mustafa Nerodian, then Clint Langeveld, Mark Hennebury in that Honda, then Jandre Buerta, Henk Pieterse, who has received another drive-through penalty. That's his second penalty of this race, so he is really not looking too good right now. And then Jody Sederman, currently the only driver out on track to finish all of his pit stops very early on in the race, so doing a very hard undercut compared to some of the rest of these drivers. We'll have to monitor that and see if it pays off. And then the likes of Ron Liebenberg, who has unfortunately disconnected from this race and decided it is not worth the energy and the resources to continue this race. So unfortunate stuff from some of those drivers who have faded away. It's not always nice to see, but it does unfortunately happen. Alrighty then, but let's have a look now. So Gary Duplessis coming into the pit lane now to claim that pit stop, that first pit stop done. Gerrit Pretorius staying out. Same with the likes of Arno Kraus. So Arno Kraus is going to be second. It's going to be a nice little thing for him to see on his heads-up display. Ron van der Walt now into third position with Arno Kraus in second position. So great stuff from them. Gavin Scruton is also going to stay out, is he? Yes, he's going to stay out. Henry Platt's going to stay out with him as well. Reginald Mitteleni staying out as well. Feistar coming into the pit lane hard, followed by the likes of, that looks like Johan Verveers, John Mostert coming in now as well. Then we've got the likes of Gerrit Bukes staying out because he's already done his pit stop. Jason Landsberg now pitting to do his final pit stop. So he's really going for a hard undercut here. He's very high up in the top 15, and now he's going to be the first driver in the top 15 to have no pit stops left. His only other competitor then would be the likes of Ulrich de Jager and Jody Sederman, two drivers who have completed all of their pit stops as well. So Jody Sederman now under pressure from the likes of, that looks like Johan Bluknoot in the Omnium Nitro Ford Mustang. So he's down into 8th place after that overtake has, after that pit stop has happened. So he's going to want to try and fight back up. But we are now definitely under halfway of this race. 36 minutes left. The 40 minutes was the halfway mark. So great stuff from him so far. Really good stuff from him actually. And great stuff to all the drivers actually. You know, we've already practically done a full sprint race. And these guys have made it look so effortless. They've done it all. They've done it incredibly well with incredible amounts of pace. And they're going to continue to do it for the next 36 minutes and provide you guys the best of best entertainment here at the RACEFACE.PRO Red Star GT3 Prime Championship. A reminder again that there is 2 streams going on tonight. And Feistar, come on Feistar, unfortunately getting a stop-go 30-second penalty. What on earth could that be for? So Feistar receiving the same penalty he received last week at Paul Ricard. That is so unfortunate, receiving the stop-and-go 30-second penalty. So he's going to have to now stop dead in his pit box, wait for 30 seconds, get nothing done to his car, and then leave the pit stop again. And that is going to really throw him off of this race. He might even actually put the car in and retire it, because there might not be a point depending on how far down he goes. He must be absolutely furious at this point. The likes of John Vivier is in front going, phew, I don't have to worry about 5-star behind me anymore. He has to pit. So unfortunate stuff from him. Reginald Mittelani, sorry about that. Now up into 6th place, had the fastest lap just before Johan Bloknoot came and took it away from him. But Reginald Mittelani also doing phenomenally well. He's still got 2 pit stops left. So we've still got the first 6 runners with 2 pit stops left. Arno Kraus currently setting provisional pole with only 1 pit stop, 2 pit stops to go. Gavin Scruton and Henry Platt still playing the long game. As we mentioned, Henry Platt does like to go for those late pit stop strategies and keep the car on track as long as possible. He did it at Paul Ricard. I think he completed his final pit stop with 11 minutes left. So he does everything quite late. Reginald Mittelani also keeping that car on track. And he is the final driver with 2 pit stops left. Garrett Bukes, definitely the provisional pole. He has actually lost our time to Johan Bloknoot behind. Johan now 2.2 seconds from what he was, which is 4.4 seconds. So he's definitely caught up on the likes of Garrett Bukes from that overtake. From that pit stop that they both had to do. And Johan Bloknoot is now thinking to himself, this is definitely chaseable and definitely achievable. So he's going to have to chase it down and see what he can do for that Omnius Gaming Nitro Ford Mustang. He's still got 34 minutes left and time is ticking. I mean, look at these lap times. I mean, if we can look at some of the lap times these drivers are setting, 1:53 was the best, but last was a 2-minute and 1 for some of these drivers. Gavin Scruton last was a 1:54. So we're looking at almost 2 minutes a lap time. So if you had to divide that 30 in half, that's practically 15 to 16 laps left of racing. That's really not a lot to do much. So if you're going to do something to any of the drivers who are wanting to make up some crazy strategy, get those pit stops done early and try and make some crazy positions, now's your time. We've got drivers who have already done it, like Jason Landsberg. All of his pit stops have been completed, and he's only got a bunch of drivers who still need to do pit stops in front of him. He's just going to claim a bunch of overtakes on them, which is a great thing to see. We saw it last week at Paul Ricard. He just appeared in the top 5. He actually gave me a bit of a fright when I saw him. I just saw this red Aston Martin appearing on my screen, and I was really confused. You know, he appeared out of nowhere, and that is the beauty of an undercut. It plays so well to the strategy, and it can really change up how the races work. He's got the likes of Mustafa Narodian behind him in the Triazi competition. Jeff's Bagel Run, Ferrari 296. He's also doing phenomenally well. He's got 1 pit stop left to do. He's got the likes of Ulrich de Arca behind him a little bit further back, who has got no pit stops left. Antti Meiberg behind him, who's got 1 pit stop left. So these drivers, there's quite a few of them now. Let's go through them. So Ian Upton is definitely one of them. Mark Hennerby, Clint Langeveld, Jean Viviers, Jody Sierman, Bradley Searle, Ulrich de Jager up here, Jason Landsberg. All of those drivers have completed every necessary pit stop. And just speaking about that, we've got a bunch of drivers who have come into pit, and all of them are going to complete all of their mandatory pit stop. Carrie Duplessis, another driver out on course now, who has completed all of his mandatory pit stops. So great stuff from him. Jean Mostert is also going to be one of those drivers. Same with the likes of Donnie Steenkamp behind him. I'm going to be back in 1 second. Alrighty then, let us continue in. So John Mostert, like we mentioned, here he comes out of the pit box. He's done all of his mandatory pit stops, so he is now in the normal fight to the end. He's still got a bunch of drivers, Reginald Mittelani and Gavin Scruton, the only 2 drivers, well, not Gavin Scruton anymore. He's done his first pit stop. So Reginald Mittelani, the only driver out on circuit who has not completed his first pit stop, and he's got the likes of Garrett Bukes not far behind at all, who is already a pit stop ahead of him. So Reginald Mittelani is unfortunately going to drop a little bit far back off, but he's enjoying this a lot. You know, he's getting the stream time, he's getting the screen time of being nicely up in front over there in first place. Even though he's got those 2 pit stops left, he can just cover it with 1 figure and go, hey, I'm in first place right now, and 25 laps have been completed, and I'm chilling in first place. What more could go wrong? Unfortunately, here at RaceFace, we believe in strategy, we believe in the entertainment of the rest of the virtual grandstand, and unfortunately he's going to have to complete a mandatory pit stop 2 times, which is going to unfortunately drop him back very far. So back on top with our race leader, Johan Blinknote, now starting to drop off a bit, unfortunately, from Carrot Bukes. And the rain is actually gone. So like I mentioned, the same as what we saw from last night's race in the sprint series, the rain did disappear near the end. The rain has disappeared here with 50 minutes gone. So it's going to make the driving a little bit easier for these drivers, but the track is definitely greasy. It is in the top right corner. Unfortunately, it's covered by the commentating block, but the track is in greasy mode right now. That is due to the track being covered in water, but it is still having a lot of heat provided from these cars going around it, and there's no more fresh water dropping on the track, and so that is exactly why the track's a little bit greasy. It's still very slidey, and the drivers have to be very cautious about how they take the car around the track, but it is going to make the condition a little bit easier than the wet circumstances. So good stuff from them. Johan Blinknote is now very far, starting to drop off from the likes of Carrot Bukes. You can see him there in the background. Now 3.5 second gap, so he's really starting to struggle. Carrot Bukes in that yellow Hornet Ferrari 296 Sim Alpha SRS car is now starting to run away once more after the first mandatory pit stop, and he's starting to create a gap. Johan Blinknote now will be starting to get under pressure from the likes of Vessel Voda behind him in the third place position of the Gramadulas Racing 133 Mercedes. Currently the only Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo out on track. So technically in terms of single class, he is in first. He's the only McLaren out on track, only Mercedes out on track, sorry, so he doesn't have to worry about that. But unfortunately, this is a positional race, so he has to try and fight it to the end. But currently, sitting very nicely in the top three, as talking about drop-offs of the top three. Reginald Mitteleni has served his first pit stop very fast, and instead of it went from a drive-through to a stop-go 32nd. So I don't know what happened there. I believe he sped into the pit lanes and sped out of the pit lanes possibly, but now receiving a stop-go 30-second time penalty, which is really going to affect the remainder of his race. Really unlucky from him, actually, and that is not going to be great for him. He's going to be really disappointed in himself that he's going to do a stop-go and then still another pit stop. So unfortunate stuff from him. Jason Landsberg, someone who I need the virtual grandstand. Okay, everyone in the virtual grandstand, listen, hear me out, right? I saw it last race. Keep an eye out on Jason Landsberg. He always does this, where he does every single pit stop very early, and he's up into 9th place right now. No mandatory pit stops needed to be done. So if he can keep that car clean and consistent, he's going to finish up very nice and high. Everyone in front of him currently, including the likes of Reginald Mitteleni with the stop-go, needs to pit, which means he has the chance to try and gain a position on them, which is absolutely phenomenal stuff. Something that we definitely like to see here at RaceFace. When the drivers pull, maybe talking too much, he literally almost just binned that Aston Martin in the wall. He's obviously forgotten a little bit that the track is still in greasy state, and he tried to push that Aston Martin a little bit too hard and almost lost it. Thankfully, not losing it too hard. I believe that's the likes of Clint Langerfeldt behind him. Unfortunately, with another drive-through penalty, Clint Langerfeldt receiving that from going off track once more. So unfortunate scenes from him. Mark Hennerby, someone who we have seen struggle throughout the race. Unfortunately, with a couple of incidents, Hennerby is trying to keep that Honda nice and straight. He looks all good right now. That NSX is looking good right now in terms of damage. He's managed to repair the car, and now he's just trying to tow it home without any more damage. Ian Upton, also someone with a very unfortunate and unlucky race again. Down in the final position of the current running order of the track, 26th position for the likes of Ian Upton. So unfortunate stuff from him. He's going to have to try and pull it back again next week. Unfortunately, with this being Hungaroring and not having many overtaking opportunities, this is not going to be the chance for him to try and fight for anywhere near the top 15. Maybe if there's some form of incidents that happen, he can try and build back up somewhere into the 20s. Maybe the low 20s, where Jody Sierman is currently sitting in the 20th position for the Delta Negative McLaren 720S GT3 Evo. Man, that is a mouthful of a car name. He's also doing pretty well. You know, he's done all of his pit stops, and Reginald Mitteleni now, let's go on board with him to witness his pain. Well, he actually did it really fast. We missed the pain, unfortunately. Doing that stop-go really quickly, and unfortunately, he's still got a full pit stop left. Down into 17th position now for the likes of Reginald Mitteleni. Unfortunate stuff from him, and that pit stop's going to really throw him down the list. Same with the likes of Feistel, who also had that stop-go penalty. So him and Reginald Mitteleni sitting in a bit of the same boat. They are going to be right on top of each other almost in terms of when they come out after that final mandatory pit stop. The same with the likes of Henk Petersen. Also someone who's very low down and unfortunately still... Oh, that's someone off track. I believe that's Jan Viviers, who has lost the rear coming out of that hairpin over there. That is due to the greasy track surfaces. Did he get tapped? Oh, hard bash over there by the likes of... That was a Griffin Sim Racing Ferrari. That might have actually been someone up there. I believe that might have been... Yeah, that was definitely Gerard Pretorius. Unfortunately, giving him a bit of a love tap. And that was back marker on blue flag. And that might be a little bit of a questionable one to the stewards. Unfortunately, the blue flag tapping the back marker. And that is an unfortunate one. I think he wanted to give him the way. And now Gerard Pretorius tearing up through the rest of the back marks. He's got the like of Jaco Krubler in that sucky Ferrari GT3 296 in front of him. So he's going to be putting pressure on him as well. Arno Kraus, also still incredible performance from him. Now in fifth place with one mandatory pit stop left. And we are officially in optimum track state. So the track is no longer greasy. It has dried off nicely. So the track is back in the optimum state of running. So optimum essentially means the track is at its maximum best potential. You know, it is the optimum. Well, optimum means the best of the best. It is the optimum temperature, the optimum grip levels as well for these cars to be running at. 36 degrees is still very hot though on the track surface. So some of these tires are going to start to wear out, especially if we've got any drivers running on wet. So that might play a bit into Jason Landsberg's disadvantage. If he is still on wet tires here due to the early pit stops, he's going to start to struggle on the optimum track state now, as those wet tires are not made for a dry circuit. Is he coming to the pit? Oh, that looked like he was coming to the pits actually. That could have ruined his entire undercut. I think he might be on dries though. So good thing if he is on dries, you know, maybe sacrificing it in beginning stages, because maybe he knew from last night that it would anyway happen, that the weather would wear off. So he's obviously put on the dries, and he's chasing down Gavin Scruton ahead, who has still got a pit stop left to do, and Jason Landsberg doesn't. So he currently doesn't even need to fight him. He's just trying to keep his speed up and doesn't want to be slowed down too much. But now Johan Bluknoot, 2.5 second gap to the likes of Garrett Bukes in front of him. Unfortunately, really starting to struggle a little bit, and that is not going to be too well of a gap. He's going to have to try and lessen that. He's got 22 minutes left. 12 minutes left now of the pit window, and we've still got, well, let's count it up, 7 of the top runners. Then we got 1 in 9th place. So that is 8, 9, 10, 11 drivers. Yeah, that's 11 drivers still needing to complete pit stops out of our grid of 28 drivers. 26 drivers, actually, sorry. So, unfortunate scenes from those couple of drivers. They're going to need to pit, and that means that their current positions are not final. But that also means that all the drivers who have completed pit stops, that means their positions are not final as well. They're going to definitely get some positions up on some of these drivers. But let's go and have a look at our current running order with 22 minutes left. Garrett Bukes still leading up in first position, followed by Johan Bluknoot, who now has the fastest time. And before I continue, just want to let you know that we have posted the Pro Stream link in the virtual grandstand. If anyone is wanting to go and have a sneak peek at the Pro Stream, they are more than welcome to. That is being commentated by the likes of Steven Koenig, and he's also doing a phenomenal job on that side. So go have a look at what the pros are doing. They're not too far off from the Pro-Am drivers here. These guys are also really doing well. But let's continue. We've got Vessel Voda in 3rd place, having a much better night tonight compared to Paul Ricard. Garrett Pretorius also doing very well in 4th place. Arno Kraus coming out of the pits now with no more pit stops needing to be done. Will he get it out ahead of Jason Landsberg? And I think, no, unfortunately, Jason Landsberg has already overtaken him. Then we got the likes of Henry Platt in 7th. The likes of Gavin Scruton in 8th, followed by Jason Landsberg, well, now in 7th, John Bluknoot. Sorry, not John, Mustafa Narodian in 8th. Gerry Duplessis in 10th. Ulrich Diache in 11th, followed by Rowan van der Bolt in 12th. Then Jan Ray Botha in 13th. Hansi Meiberg, who is unfortunately seems to be a disconnect. Hansi Meiberg is no longer with us in this race, unfortunately, so that's super unfortunate. Richard van Heerden then in 14th place for the Green Hulk Ferrari. Bradley Searle for Pandacity in 15th, followed by Jean Mostert. Jody Sierman behind him. Then Donnie Steenkamp, Jaco Krubler, followed by Henk Pieterse, Johan Verveers in 21st. Then Reginald Mitteleni has now dropped very far off. Same with Feistar, down very low. He's getting pressure by Mark Henneberry behind him in that Honda. And then Ian Upton to finalize our grid. Then Clint Langenfeld, who is now the final driver on our grid. So Ian Upton managing to get one more position on him. He might be able to get a position here on Henk Pieterse, who is doing his final pit stop now. So very late pit stop for so low down on the grid. Same with the likes of Jean-Ray Buerta and Richard van Heerden, who are both sitting behind each other in 13th and 14th place. They both also need to do their mandatory pit stops. And then obviously, like we mentioned, the likes of Gerrit Bukes, all the way down to Gavin Scruton, and then the Undertaker Jason Landsberg in 7th with no pit stops needing to be done, so he's going to be chasing hard. Mustafa Narodian also in 8th. Here we go, he comes in to do his mandatory pit stop. He's going to probably drop down near 12th or 13th position, so unfortunate for him, but he did probably expect it from holding on to that pit stop for too long, and he's going to start to drop off now. We've got 9 minutes left of our pit window now. So cutting it very close for some of these top runners. I suspect they're going to be coming in within the next 2 to 3 laps. Or else we might be seeing a Monza. If anyone remembers the Monza at the GT3 Championship for RACEFACE at Monza for the Pro Division, we had 2 drivers miss the pit window, and they unfortunately got 130-second time penalties for not completing their mandatory pit stops. So unfortunate stuff from them. They did not get out too well with those 130 seconds, and some of these drivers definitely do not want to be seeing that. So I would say try and get those pit stops done. Gerrit Bukes has definitely listened to me. His family members, in specific, we've got the likes of Johan Bukes and Samir Bukes in chat, have probably told them, hey, listen, the commentator is saying you should probably pit. We've got 8 minutes left, just do it. And he's come in for the pit stop, and he's coming out already. Very quick splash and dash. And I believe the rest of the grid is going to start to see, hey, the provisional race leaders come in. Let's try and get in. And, or, you know, the likes of Johan Bluknoot, if he's feeling very fast right now, will hold out for another 2 or so laps and then make his pit stop at the very last moment that he can. And see if he can maybe gain a couple more seconds on the likes of Gerrit Bukes. So, all in the strategy. It all comes down to that strategy that gets played by these drivers. What will happen? Wessel Voda also still sitting nicely up in 2nd place, but he's also got that pit stop that needs to be done. Gerrit Pretorius also one more pit stop needing to be done, and Gerrit Bukes, the current provisional pole, sitting in 4th position. The only person contesting him behind is Jason Landsberg with no pit stops needing to be done. So great stuff from him as well. Gavin Scruton and Henry Platt, the 2 Team Tryhard drivers, like I did mention, they like keeping things very late onto the line. These 2 drivers needing to do everything that they can within the next 7 minutes to maybe try and get those final pit stops done. Like we mentioned, they do not want to receive those 130-second penalties. Mark Henneberry, though, down in 22nd, now setting the fastest lap of this race. So doing pretty well there behind Reginald Mitteleni, possibly getting a good amount of slipstream on that main straight of Hungaroring, and he's doing phenomenally well. Unfortunately, he has not had the greatest races. I believe he could be a lot higher up if he didn't have a couple of those incidents we saw at the beginning of the race. But also really not that bad of a performance from him whatsoever. He's doing very well. He's got the likes of 5-star behind him in that Fies Libertas Ferrari 296 GT3. Also not too badly himself. Unfortunately, that stop-go penalty really did do him bad, and that sent him very far down on the grid. But let's head back up to the top now, because we are starting to close in towards our end of the race. We've already done well over an hour of racing, even though it feels like we haven't. I mean, to think we started this over an hour and a half ago, this stream, and it's already coming to an end. We've got 6 minutes of pit window time left, and we still got a couple of drivers. Johan Bluknoot has now completed his pit stop. Is he ahead of Gerrit Bukes? No. So there's Gerrit Bukes just in front of him. I don't know if he's actually gained or lost time to him. I think he's actually lost time to the likes of Gerrit Bukes in front. So Gerrit Bukes still leading nicely in front. He's got the likes of Jason Landsberg behind, but Jason Landsberg definitely won't be getting 1st or 2nd. As we can see, the likes of Gerrit Bukes and Johan Bluknoot have already gone off with no more pit stops needing to be done. I believe Jason Landsberg can maybe get away with a 3rd place here, or possibly a 4th place, depending on the pit stops of Wessel Voda, Gerrit Pretorius, and the likes of Henry Platt. who, like I said again, likes to keep it very late. 5 minutes left of this pit window. So these guys playing it very, very close to the wire here. They're playing it very, very close to the border, and they might or might not potentially be added to the RACEFACE.PRO Hall of Fame for drivers who forget to pit. Let's see if it happens. We might be focusing too much on keeping the car controlled and not keeping the pit lane open. And 5 minutes left. It's crucial now. We've got a very, very short time left of the pit window. 15 minutes left of racing, and let's have a look a bit. So now Samir Buke saying that Chris has got tire temp issues. Which Chris? Oh no, you're talking to Chris. Okay, let me get the context straight. Cool. Let me not try and find Chris on track here. You'll find me spending a whole good 15 minutes trying to find Chris Collison, even though he's not here. So Chris Collison saying this is going to be very tight, and then Samir Buke saying, Chris, the tire temp issues, it's definitely going to play as a factor coming down to these final couple of laps. I don't think these couple of final pit stop runners are going to be changing tires. I think they changed, you know, some of the tires in the beginning. And now Samir Buke saying lots of swearing out of the rig. So unfortunately, seeming like the likes of Garrett Bukes having a bit of a tough time with those tires. And he's really, really struggling, as mentioned by some of his family members in the virtual grandstand, trying to keep that car under control. Johan Bluknoot is trying to take advantage of that. Now 2.1 seconds. We might have a fight towards the line here if Garrett Bukes continues to struggle on those tire pressures. Don't know how Johan Bluknoot is doing on the tire pressures with the Mustang, but lean towards more of the forwards of the car. It might be doing a little bit better here around the Hungaroring. A little bit more understeer on the front, but those rears might be doing a little bit better. And the rears have been the main focus of tonight here at Hungaroring, especially in the wet, as it's been the point of where some of these drivers have been losing the car and binning it into the wall, unfortunately, due to losing control. So Johan Bluknoot now closing in 2.075 seconds to the likes of Garrett Bukes. So we definitely are going to have a bit of a fight towards the line. Garrett Pretorius behind them is very, very far off. So Johan Bluknoot has a bit of a train behind him, but I don't think that's any driver who he is fighting. I'm trying to see. Let's go to Helicam if I can see. That looks like a red car in the background. That might actually be the likes of Jason Landsberg in 6th. No, it's not. It's a little bit ahead of Jason Landsberg. So who is that behind the likes? There you see them in the background. It's definitely a red car. Might even be an orange car. I might just be colorblind, guys. Reginald Mitteleni, yes. Okay, it's an orange car, not a red car. So I apologize for that color blindness. It is indeed the battle going on between Reginald Mitteleni and then the fastest lap time setter Mark Hennebury, followed by Johan Viviers. So another fight that we could be seeing for the battle for 20th here. As you can see, Mark Hennebury putting a lot of pressure here on the likes of Reginald. But we have got 2 minutes left of the pit window. I believe we have only one more driver needing to pit, and that is Henry Platt, coming in on the final little bit of time he can. I think if he went one more time, he would have still just made it. But if he did 2 more laps, he would have missed the pit window. So well on to him. He was biting my nerves a little bit. I don't know if he was biting anyone else's nerves. Obviously, the Team Tryhard guys were like, guys, relax. It's a strategy. He's playing it. He knows what he's doing. But all of us here in the virtual grandstand and the commentary box. Oh, he cuts across the line there, actually. That might be a bit of a penalty. All of us here in the commentary box were starting to stress a bit, like, damn, is he going to actually end up pitting? We did not know, but thankfully he has put it now. He's got the likes of Gavin Scruton also still behind him, his teammate. These two have been fighting the entire race. So, no, you know, just under 10 minutes left now. They're going to be still putting an immense amount of pressure on each other before the end of this race. So Gavin Scruton still doing incredibly well, chasing down the likes of Henry Platt now. Both of these guys sitting in 10th and 11th place. 10th and 11th place. Bradley Searle also with pressure from one of his teammates, unfortunately not fighting for position. That's the likes of Clint Langerfeldt. So 2 of these guys just having a little bit of fun here from Pandacity. But like we mentioned, Clint Langerfeldt in 26th position and Bradley Searle currently sitting in 12th position. So a good chunk of cars in between these two in terms of track. If it was a position for, if it was an actual fight for position, it would definitely be one to watch. As these two are part of the same team. You know, you never know if team orders come in, who's higher in the championship. But yeah, like we mentioned, Clint Langerfeldt not fighting this one. John Mostert in the background there, he is fighting Bradley Searle. So maybe the likes of Clint Langerfeldt maybe he's maybe going to try and keep a gap between these two to see what will happen. You know, Claire Langerfeld putting a bit of a gap between John Mostert and the likes of Bradley Searle, trying to keep Bradley ahead for the final 10 minutes. 39 seconds left of the pit window. Thankfully, everyone here on track is cleared up, so we should be good before the end of the race. Ork Diacha also doing great in the Griffin Sim Racing car over there. Harry Duplessis also doing phenomenally well still. All of the drivers lining up very nice, but I am going to give driver of the day. I don't even need this race to finish. It's going to go to Arno Kraus. This guy has done an absolutely phenomenal job to keep that car in the top 10, let alone almost in the top 5. He had a phenomenal qualifying compared to what he was doing at Paul Ricard last week, and he's up into 6th place. No pit stops left to do, so he is fighting everyone around him, but he is doing phenomenally well. Pit window has just been closed, just signaled by Jeff, so we just have 10 minutes left of pure hard racing now. If someone does crash out now and they have to go in for damage, unfortunately, well, they're going to have to pit, and it's not going to really change anything, but they're going to really drop off. So thankfully, everyone being able to finish those pit strategies, and now there's no more strategies to be played. Now it is just pure hardcore racing up into the line. Jason Landsberg with his undercut strategy, it unfortunately didn't work out as well as I thought it would. I thought he was going to be calling out that podium position, but up into 5th though, still an amazing place. I think he qualified further down as well, so great stuff to see from him. Always a nice thing to see some of these drivers putting in a crazy amount of effort with these strategies, and Jason Landsberg has really been someone to watch recently. He's really done a phenomenal job to make it entertaining for the virtual grandstand. You know, he pops up out of nowhere and all of a sudden he's fighting some of the top guys, which is always a great thing to see. But now we have got the likes of Johan Bluknoot with 5 tenths, now even closer, 2 tenths to the likes of Garrett Bukes. So this is a fight up towards the end of this race. Garrett Bukes, like we mentioned, really struggling with those tires. I believe Johan Bluknoot has got a little bit better tires there, so he is able to keep the pressures controlled. Unfortunately, Garrett Bukes is really starting to feel the pressure now from the likes of Johan Bluknoot, who is feeling super cool and super chill behind him in that Omnius Gaming Nitro White Mustang, following behind that yellow Racing Hornet of the Ferrari of Garrett Bukes. This is definitely a fight to watch. Unfortunately, Vessel Voda will not be in this fight. He's very far off, about 14 seconds away. But we have got a fight on our hands for the first place position. We've seen this in Pro. We've seen this in Pro-Am. It's the same thing, guys. That is why it is such an amazing thing to be able to showcase what these Pro-Am drivers can do. These guys are not bad drivers. They are absolutely phenomenal. They keep their heads down. They keep themselves loyal and straight towards the point. But man, this is absolutely incredible racing. We see it in the chat there of the virtual grandstand. Chris Collison saying, great racing, Carrot and Johan. Absolutely phenomenal racing. I agree. These guys have kept it close throughout the whole season even. Nail-biting action indeed. These guys have given the most amount of action. And, you know, we weren't really expecting this. That's the beauty of sim racing, is that things like this can happen where tire pressures start to fight in. We were not expecting Johan Bluknoot to come and start attacking Garrett Bukes in the final couple of laps here, and here we are sitting on the edge of our chair. I don't know about the virtual grandstand, but my chair is about to flip over. I'm on the edge watching this fight for first place. Check out how close Johan Bluknoot is getting to the likes of Garrett Bukes, putting so much pressure on the back of that yellow Hornet Ferrari, and he's going to continue to push that car up into the end. I don't know if it's going to be enough though. He's got 6 minutes, actually 7 minutes now, just about, I would say, 3 or 4 laps left of racing here. Will Johan Bluknoot have enough pace, have enough skill to get around Garrett Bukes? Again, another critical factor we have to think about here is that we are at Hungaroring here at Hungary. You know, this is not a track with lots of overtaking potential. The straights are extremely short and not long enough for drivers to be able to build enough slipstream, let alone is the main straight long enough. The main straight barely ever sees overtakes because of how short it is compared to some of the other tracks. But man, something can definitely happen here, especially if Garrett Bukes does not get a good enough exit out of this following turn. And you know, it could happen in any of these laps where Johan Bluknoot carries it through to the end and manages to keep that Omnius Gaming Mustang under control before the end of the line. Man, this is huge. This is such nail-biting action. You only see this here at RACEFACE.PRO. Once again, you're watching the RACEFACE.PRO Red Star GT3 Pro Am Championship Season 19. We're at round 5 here at Hungaroring. And don't forget, there is a Pro Division stream currently up live with Stephen Koenig, also on the RACEFACE.PRO YouTube channel. Just head over to the YouTube channel or follow the link that is pasted above in the chat of the virtual grandstand, and you should be directed to the Pro stream. But man, I don't think you want to go to the Pro stream, because look at the action we're seeing from Pro-Am. These guys are non-stop pushing each other to the limits. I don't even want to go down to like some other drivers. You know, we got a fight here of Gavin Scruton and Henry Platt, 2 teammates also fighting each other. But I don't know if it's that intense to swap off. We don't really have much other fighting going on track with any other driver there. We've got a fight going out and in front, but I believe that is some of the top runners. There is another fight there for Mark Henry and Jaco Grubler with Reginald Mitteleni behind. But that is also, I don't think it equates to the fight that we're seeing over here in front. These two drivers, 4 minutes left. This is going to be hectic racing up into the line. 4.5 or so minutes left. The yellow Hornet there, you can even see it planted on the car. I was just calling it the yellow Hornet, guys. I didn't even see the Hornet or Wasp. I'm going to call it a Hornet. It sounds more intimidating. The yellow Hornet Ferrari. Oh, now on the outside with the Mustang, Johan Bluknoot is going to be looking to carry more speed into the following turn. Will he be making the overtake? Coming onto the back of the main straight over here. He's got a lot of speed carried. Let's go and have a look on the onboard here. Here it comes. Garrett Bukes has got that Mustang roaring up behind him. The Mustang goes up on the inside line. Is it going to be enough? Yeah, he goes. Johan Bluknoot looking up on the inside line. It's going to be close. There might be contact going into turn 1, but they keep it clean. Absolutely professional and fantastic racing from these two. Garrett Bukes keeping it in front even with the tire issues. And these guys are non-stop going. Chris Collison saying in chat it's a Bumblebee. Man, I don't know. A Bumblebee doesn't sound that intimidating. I think a yellow Hornet sounds intimidating. I mean, I don't think a Bumblebee's got that big of a stinger, right? But whatever you want to call it, this yellow beast of a machine is really putting up a fight with Johan Bluknoot behind. The championship leader, hunting down one of the top 3s in the championship. This is absolutely pinnacle to the championship standings. 3.5 minutes left here at the Hungaroring, and the action is not ending. I can't even take a breath to speak here because of how action-packed this is. Johan Bluknoot, sitting right on the rear of that Ferrari, is not giving up at all. I'm going to quickly go and give some other drivers some screen time. Okay, Gavin Scruton and Henry Platt very far away from each other now, so that's no longer a fight in our books. Still phasing through the rest of the grid, not seeing too much action. Reginald Mitteleni now. Jan Viviers looks to have had a big accident. Indeed he did. The number 777 and the number 12, Mark Henry, unfortunately having an accident. A little bit of contact between the two drivers. So unfortunately, that looked like Johan Viviers did receive the bigger blow. He's got some major damage. And he's receiving a lot and lots of pressure now from Pi Star. But that is unfortunately all these drivers are going to get, because we need to go back up. Here we go, back onto the main straight. Will he do it again? We're going to go back on that rear view camera. And Johan Bluknoot is way closer this time. Garrett Bukes sucking up on the inside to try and keep it defensive. There goes Johan Bluknoot on the outside. Is he going to make the position stick? Johan Bluknoot carrying a lot of speed on the outside. Garrett Bukes keeping it very defensive, dives in. And here we go, here comes the switcheroo. Johan Bluknoot up on the inside for the white Omnius Gaming car. Does he have the position? And indeed he does. He carries the position away from Garrett Bukes. Now in first place with 2 minutes to go. Goes wide at the hairpin, potentially giving Garrett Bukes a chance at him. Blocking it up. Going into the main straight, the one of the back straights over here. Now into the left-hand kink. Johan Bluknoot is now leading this Grand Prix. Samir Bukes saying, just keep it clean, guys. Absolutely. We've got to keep it clean, but we've got to keep this entertaining. There goes Garrett Bukes looking up on the inside again. Johan Bluknoot going out wide. Garrett Bukes now side by side. Going into the chicane. 1 minute and 30 seconds left. He has to tuck back in. Will he look up on the inside going into the chicane? Johan Bluknoot goes out wide. Has to cut a bit. And you can see how close Garrett Bukes is now coming up on the inside. Will Johan Bluknoot give him the space? Yes, he does. Johan Bluknoot now losing out again to Garrett Bukes. Loses the car. No. So Garrett Bukes losing a bit of traction control there. And Johan Bluknoot now taking that position away from him. He's really, really struggling with the traction on this car. Man. Whoa. I cannot breathe here. This is intense. Wow. So Garrett Bukes and Johan Bluknoot giving us the crazy, crazy amount of entertainment. Holy flip. Here they go again. Jody Sierman is getting a rep in the chat over here. Let's quickly flash down to him in 16th position. He's doing phenomenally well compared to his previous performances here in the championship. So he has done a phenomenal job to keep that car nicely in the top 16 and keeping it clean. All pit stops done in that beautiful green McLaren. The leader is now on the final lap. We have to stick with the leaders. Unfortunately, anyone else who's wanting to see other action, this is going to be a cross straight down to the line for first position. Johan Bluknoot putting on so much pressure here. And, you know, Samir Bukes also saying it, world-class racing by these two drivers. Absolutely. This is some phenomenal racing. I don't even think you'll see some of this in the pro division. These guys going at it up until the final wire. Johan Bluknoot now putting a load amount of pressure on Garrett Bukes once again. They are on the final lap, though, so he has to make the position if he wants to make it stick. He's not going to be able to take it on the final turn because what we've seen from previous laps is that he makes the overtake, but way past the finish line. So if he wants to get a position done, he has to do it before then. Will he make Garrett Bukes crack under pressure? Will Garrett Bukes hold it up until the final crossing of the line? Here we go through the chicane. Who will carry a bit more speed? Garrett Bukes losing the rear end a little bit, but keeping the car under control. Johan Bluknoot keeping it very closely behind that yellow Hornet of Garrett Bukes. Man, these guys are absolutely incredible. Garrett Bukes still keeping it nicely intact. Johan Bluknoot still following very closely behind. It's going to be very, very close up into the line. And we're approaching the final couple corners here before we reach the line. Johan Bluknoot looking up on the inside to see if he can make a final position before the end of this race. Maybe going around the outside. He's looking for it. But Garrett Bukes is covering up his inside line. Johan Bluknoot carrying as much speed as he can, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Unless he can dive bomb here, he's not going to, and I believe Garrett Bukes is going to hold on to this by the end of the race. We're going helicam view to see what's going to happen here. Here we go, Johan Bluknoot on the outside. Here we go, up into the line. Johan Bluknoot claims the win on the crossing of the finish line. Absolutely incredible stuff. Oh my goodness, guys. Absolutely phenomenal performance there from these two drivers. Johan Bluknoot taking the win across the checkered flag, carrying a bit more speed across the line. I'm flashing back at that. That was incredible. Look at this. Bluknoot coming around the outside line, carries the speed and just manages to keep the car on track and manages to keep that car in first place. Oh my goodness. I can't even speak for that. Chris Collison saying, oh my goodness, that was world class. Absolutely incredible stuff across the line. Johan Bluknoot taking first place from Garrett Bukes on the final second of this race. What an absolute performance. We've still got a couple of drivers running. Henry Platt just passing across the line. Here comes John Mostert. Jean-Ray Buerta also coming around for the Team Charisma Racing. Oh my goodness, I'm out of breath, guys. Guys, the Pro-Am guys are absolutely mental. So glad I got to watch this. Congratulations, fellas. That is what Chris Collison has to say. Johan Bukes saying, well done, Garrett. Top class. Guys, even though Garrett came second, he raced to his heart's content up until the literal checkered flag. That's not even me saying it figuratively. That is literal. They literally went until the checkered flag on a 1-by-1. So absolutely incredible performance from those drivers. We're going to have them hopefully all ready stacked up in the interview rooms before the end of this race. That was indeed the best race ever. I have to agree with Samir Bukes. That was absolutely incredible racing. Nothing could have beaten that. I don't know what to say, guys. That was incredible. We're going to head over to a break and get these guys in the commentary box. We'll see you guys before then. Oh my goodness, guys. I don't know what to say. That was incredible. Absolutely incredible performance from all of those drivers. We've got some of the guys in the commentary box. We're going to go ahead. We are still just missing our third place Vessel Voda, who is not in the commentary box just yet. So we're going to go in with second place. Let us have a look, because that was absolutely incredible. We're going to bring our second place up into the commentary box.
Come
Jared
on.
Bukes, man. Absolutely incredible race up into the line. I can't even speak for words what you and Han just did. How are you feeling, man?
Heart's beating. Heart's beating.
Man, that was... And my heart's beating too. I'm on the edge of my seat. I almost fell out of my seat watching that up until the finish line. I don't even know what to say. Absolutely world-class performance. The entire virtual grandstand can agree that that was some incredible racing. How were the tires? How was the car feeling throughout the whole race?
In the wet, I had really decent pace. Tire temps were good. Everything was fine. And as soon as the damp patches started hitting, I decided to go onto the slicks. And about 3-4 laps in, I realized, okay, my rear tires are way too hot. So I was running about 28.5 to 29 on the rears there, and I knew I didn't have enough rear grip really to challenge Johan, but I tried. I tried to go defensive and try and give him enough space and try and be decent, and it worked out. It worked out all right. I just didn't have enough grip coming out of that last corner.
Yeah, man, that was... I still don't know what to say. I literally almost ran out of voice there trying to follow you guys through that final corner. But I'm going to leave the floor to you to speak about anything, maybe addressing the sponsors and stuff. Go ahead, maybe addressing some of the people in the virtual grandstand who were supporting you on tonight. Go ahead and have fun.
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys for awesome stream. RACEFACE always bring it. Obviously, the sponsors. It's really nice having people back us for this kind of thing. And first and third place, Johan was amazing. He's a good, clean, close driver, and that's always enjoyable. Yeah, it was just a lot of fun.
That is absolutely amazing to hear. Well, Mr. Jared Bukes, I'm going to send you out of the commentary box to go have a fantastic rest of your night, man. Well done again for second place. It could have been a first place, but phenomenal world-class racing from you guys. It was incredible. So have a great rest of your night. Go have a good amount of celebrations because it was a fantastic race. And we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Alrighty then. So it looks like we have been joined by our third place finisher for this race. We're going to go ahead and begin our interview with our third place finisher, Vessel Voda. Well done on redeeming yourself from last week at Paul Ricard after a couple of penalties and an unfortunate race. You managed to fully redeem yourself here at Hungaroring, finishing high up in the podium on third place. How are you feeling, man?
Yeah, it was a tough race. I must say I enjoyed the wet. I could feel I had some pace there, but once it dried out, I felt I lost some bit of pace. But yeah, it was fun.
Well, absolutely incredible race from your side. What was the car feeling like? You know, obviously every car plays around differently. You were driving around in the big boy Mercedes AMG, the only driver actually in the Mercedes. How was it feeling?
It was. I must say I enjoyed the car. The last few laps, I could feel the engine getting me out of the corners. I had to defend a bit, so it helped a lot that I could get some good exits out of the corners.
Absolutely, man. Well, you had an absolutely incredible and phenomenal race. Not much else to say other than congratulations. Well done again on redeeming yourself. How are you feeling now? Obviously, you had a bit of an unstable approach to Paul Ricard. How are you feeling going forwards now after this great result at Hungary?
Yeah, I must say last week I didn't practice too much. I must get back into the driver's seat and spend some more time here, and hopefully we can finish strong in the rest of the season.
Absolutely, man. Well, I'm going to leave the floor to you to address anything. You can address people in the virtual grandstand, sponsors, and go ahead, man.
To my team, Gary, we had some fun there in the rain. Yeah, I think on the stream you mentioned our liveries doesn't show, so that's a bit unfortunate. But yeah, looking to sort that out before next week. And to the team, onze is hier laaste nie.
Absolutely. Well, please do not stress about the deliveries. That is partially also, unfortunately, on my fault. We got extremely busy just before the race started, and I was unfortunately unable to sync the Awesome Sim Racing liveries thing. So if you did add your Gramadulas Racing liveries to Awesome Sim Racing, then you definitely would have seen them tonight. Definitely will make an appearance the following week. I can guarantee you that.
Awesome. Good to hear.
Awesome. Well, have an absolutely fantastic, amazing rest of your night. You've definitely deserved it. A nice place finish. Definitely a good celebration with anyone else in the house. So have at it and have a great night further, man.
Cool. Same to you.
Alrighty then, everybody. And once again, another driver, the same driver, the championship leader, finishing it off strong, bringing it home once again in first place. Johan Blichnoot finishing it off strong in Hungary for first place, down to the final second. How are you feeling?
Man, that was a tough one. Gerard had me on my tippy toes the whole race. I seen him keep the gap, and yeah, I wasn't expecting this result.
No, I don't think any of us were. You almost made me have to go buy a new chair. I almost fell forwards. That was absolutely incredible. How on earth did you pull that off on the final corner?
The 3 laps I was behind Gerard, I saw his car get twitchy on the last corner. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep behind him, and then see on the final lap, get on the throttle a bit earlier, and what do you know, it happened.
Absolutely, man. Well, how was the Mustang feeling overall? You currently are the leading Mustang driver. Obviously, you had the likes of Arno Kraus in 6th position, and Donnie Steen come down in 17th in the Mustang as well. How was the car feeling overall between the rain and the dry?
In the rain, it was quite fun. It was actually better than I thought. Running a wet setup, I was more concerned about dry. The car was gonna damage the tires too much, but actually kept it well. And towards the end of the stint, I saw my tires pressure come down, and it adapted nicely to the hot track.
Absolutely. Well, you had a massive, massive drive once again, extending your championship lead in the RACEFACE.PRO Red Star GT3 Pro-Am Championship for Season 19. You're currently very nicely sitting in the lead, and you've just extended it further here at Hungaroring. How are you feeling going into Misano next week?
Quite confident. Misano is a nice track. I gotta put some laps of the Ford, but as I unexpectedly got overruled by the Ford, it how can I say, it surprised me every time I get on track with it.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to leave the floor to you to address anything you want. You can mention the sponsors, you can mention your team, you can mention anyone in the grandstand, and go have at it.
I just want to say thanks to the sponsors for making this happen, for the world to see us, wherever the people are watching from. Thank you. To my team for giving me opportunity once again. Happy to be here, and then well done to Gerard for giving me something to do this race.
Absolutely. You guys have been classified as the world-class rivalry of Pro-Am. I think the entire of the virtual grandstand was also a little bit going crazy on their chairs over there. But yeah, you guys definitely had some absolutely phenomenal world-class racing, especially to the end there, giving everyone a run for their money and a good show. But I'm going to leave you to have a great rest of your night. You finished in first place. That has to do with some great celebrations. And we'll see you next time, next week at Misano.
Alright, thanks, man. Thanks to everyone in the crowd.
Alrighty then, so that is going to finish up our interviews for Hungary. Any comments that I have, man, that was an absolutely phenomenal race. I don't know if anyone from the virtual grandstand can agree with me. That was absolutely amazing. Gavin Scruton joining us in the virtual grandstand saying, yo, what a race, so glad to be back. We are so glad to have you back on grid, man. You showed some incredible pace tonight for the Team Tryhard Racing McLaren, fighting alongside your teammate. It was great to have you back on, and it's great to see a lot more drivers joining in on the fun. Thank you everybody so much. That is going to conclude our racing tonight at the Hungaroring for round 5 of the RACEFACE.PRO Red Star GT3 Pro-Am Championship for Season 19. It was a lot of fun, and please remember, if you are wanting to join in on the fun, you can sign up with us on SimGrid for the next season of Season 20. Can't believe we're on Season 20 next season, guys. That's absolutely phenomenal. And thank you once again to every single sponsor. PokerBet being our title sponsor for the Pro Division. Absolutely phenomenal stuff from them. Make sure to go check their socials. Also, Red Star Raceway for sponsoring the track experience and the title sponsorship for the Pro-Am. Again, Ardendorf Machinery, Ardendorf Machinery Mart, SA Lube, as well as Scallywags, and then THT Productions for the amazing production stuff that we always do around here. But thank you everybody. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy this race. This has been one of the most eventful races, thankfully due to the rain. But if that is going to be all, we'll see you guys next time. I'm going to throw it to our pre-programmed Steven. I've got him in my pocket now, guys. It's so cool. I've got him in my pocket now. I can throw him onto the stream for him to talk to you guys about next week and some of our sponsors. We'll see you guys next time at Masano. I'm not going to do the Steven move just yet. We have not learned it fully. But from my side, good night, everybody. Have an absolutely phenomenal night further. And we'll see you guys next week.
All right, with 5 rounds out of the way and so much excitement coming in. The championship's only heating up. We've got round 6 coming up next week, so you want to keep your eyes firmly fixed to your screens as we head over to Misano. Then we head over to Kyalami for round 7, the final round around the Nürburgring. With the championship starting to wrap up, it is going to be fundamentally so awesome here at RACEFACE.PRO. With all the amazing racing that comes to you weekly, we have to give acknowledgement to our sponsors. Without them, this would not be possible here at RACEFACE.PRO. So starting off with our first sponsor, let's go and take your hats off to PokerBet. For all the tournaments, for all the cash games, daily free rolls, and sports betting, there's no better place to be and win with PokerBet. With it all revved up and you're looking for high speed, whether you're into drag, drift, or even long circuit, Red Star Raceway has got you covered. As we take a look off to all our machinery needs, head over to Oddendorf Machinery Mart. Remember to keep it slick with SA Lube, 20 years of Castrol distribution. Sliding in to keep you on your toes, Scallywags Drift Academy will keep you right at the top of the pack. And if you're looking for all your streaming needs, head over to Tenvo Tech for all the overlays. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's been an honor having you. We'll see you next time right here from the THT production.